Welcome to the 2011 Associated Students Incorporated Presidential Debate, sponsored by the Collegian. I'm Tony Petersen, the Editor-in-Chief of the Collegian. Fresno State students will be able to vote on Tuesday, March 22nd, Wednesday, March 23rd, and Thursday, March 24th to elect a student body president and other student officers. ASI represents more than 21,500 students at Fresno State. The Collegian is proud to present this debate featuring the three candidates vying for the office of ASI President in 2011. The first candidate is Selena Farnese. Ms. Farnese is a junior philosophy and anthropology double major, minoring in ethnic studies. The second candidate is Daniel J. Harrison. Mr. Harrison is a sophomore economics and political science double major. The third candidate is Cesar X. Sanchez. Mr. Sanchez is a graduate student in the MBA program in the Craig School of Business. The candidates will each give opening statements about themselves and how they hope to make a difference at Fresno State. They will have 2 minutes to give their opening statements. I will then ask the candidates a series of questions. Students attending the debate will have an opportunity to ask a question, and the debate will conclude with the candidates' closing statements. The candidates will have 60 seconds for these final remarks. Ms. Farnese, you can start with your opening statement.
Hi, my name's Selena Farnese. I'm running for the office of president. I am a philosophy major and an anthropology major, as was said during the introduction. I currently serve as the executive vice president of ASI, and before that I served as the senator of student affairs. I believe that my experience working with the student government in both of these positions, alongside new ideas and inspiration from students, as well as listening to student voice, will come together to make me an excellent candidate for president, because I could take all of those individual experiences and bring them into one office where all of those come into play, and the best result is possible because of both the experience and the new ideas. I believe that I can do a good job as president, and I look forward to the opportunity to serve you.
Thank you, Ms. Farnese. Mr. Harrison?
Hi, my name is Daniel J. Harrison. I am double majoring in political science and economics, and am considering a third major in philosophy. First, I would just like to thank Mr. Petersen and the Collegian staff for hosting this debate to give the students a better opportunity to learn what the candidates are for. I'd also like to congratulate the women's basketball team for getting a 12 seed in the NCAA tournament, announced just a couple hours ago. The economy is a big issue for all students at this university and throughout the country. 2 years ago, I started my own business, and over the past 2 years, I've gotten great insight in balancing budgets and making tough cuts, even in areas where it wasn't very desirable. I have a unique perspective in that I have that ability. I also have the unique perspective being the only candidate who does not currently serve in ASI. I believe the students have shown their frustration over the past year with ASI, and I believe that both of those are why I make a great candidate for ASI president. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Mr. Sanchez?
Hello, my name is Cesar Sanchez, and I would first off like to thank the Collegian for hosting this debate today. Just to give a little bit of background information about myself, I am the current Vice President of Finance for Associated Students Incorporated. I'm also a master's student at the Craig School of Business and a past graduate of entrepreneurship, economics, and a certificate in finance. As your Vice President of Finance for the 2010-2011 academic year, I have authored several items that have yielded a great benefit to students. $10,000 in additional funding for our grants, which are research grants for students. $10,000 in additional funding for complimentary club funding support. $10,000 in additional funding for iMac computers in our University Student Union. In addition, I have also worked to change the ASI bylaws to allow for clubs to apply for an additional $1,000 per academic year. And as for our research grants, I have worked to change the research grant guidelines to allow for purchase orders and for group projects. Purchase orders allow for students who are having trouble fronting the costs for their research projects to take care of the costs via purchase orders. And last but not least, I am also happy to say that I have worked to formulate and authorize a budget of $1,900 for lobbying efforts. The budget was set to take students from Fresno, California to Sacramento. And I'm happy that I can say that I was there today to march with them and to lobby with them. As ASI president, I will work to continue the delivery of similar student benefits, and I believe that my track record speaks for itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Thank you, candidates. For the question and answer period, the candidates will have 60 seconds to answer each question. On to the questions. We'll answer Selena. Ms. Farnese, you can go first, Mr. Harrison, and then Mr. Sanchez with your responses. If elected, what would be your first duty as ASI president?
Well, once elected, your first duty is, of course, to host the ceremony where all of the senators that work to represent the students are inaugurated. And that's the first duty of any president, no matter who you elect. After that, you begin working all through the summer to better the student government and instill the ideas, set up the foundation for the ideas that you want to see happen when school starts. So we would begin working over the summer before school even started. And a couple of the things that we, my slate, for students now would like to accomplish include looking at the media and digital resources that are currently available at ASI and elaborating on those, expanding upon those so that what your student government is doing, when our meetings are, what the minutes say, what events are putting on by clubs that are sponsored by ASI. So that information is right at the fingertips of any student so that you don't have to seek it out, but rather that it comes to you. And we think that this would solve a transparency issue at ASI and really give students the information they're looking for within their student government. Another thing that my slate would really like to focus on is lobbying efforts. It's really important that students realize that some of the issues that are affecting them on this campus are because of the state legislature or even the federal government. And so it's important to take those issues and be representative of those issues on both the state and federal levels for students. And I think that that is how we would attempt to serve students.
Mr. Harrison?
My first act as ASI president will be working with the Senate and the University Board in establishing a new parking policy. A lot of students have expressed their frustration with finding parking, and many don't know that there's a new parking structure being built and that the fees will almost double. My plan involves presenting my solutions that I've already come up with, involving moving the parking structure to another area of land that the university already owns that won't interfere with parking for students throughout the year. That'll be the first thing that I do.
Mr. Sanchez?
As it is mentioned on my campaign Facebook, the first item that I would tackle is I would make sure that ASI is on track for more intense lobbying efforts. As of right now, ASI tends to have a habit of only passing resolutions when it comes to countering tuition fee increases or other items that negatively affect students. And as ASI president, I will work to ensure that ASI resources, which are student dollars, are used to take students from Fresno to Sacramento to speak with state legislators so that students have more of a political presence to counter the tuition fee increases that students have experienced for the past several years.
Thank you. Second question, starting with Mr. Harrison. What makes you a better presidential candidate than your opponents?
I'm a better presidential candidate because I'm the only one that doesn't have the ASI burden on myself. As I said before, students are frustrated with ASI right now, and they're frustrated with the current administration and the scandals that have gone on during their watch. And so what makes me better is I offer a new perspective and am a new face to the ASI that will put more of the focus on students rather than the ASI officials. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Sanchez?
I feel that I am a better candidate for ASI president, not only because I am a current master's student, but I feel that I have more experience in terms of interacting with students and having a easier time relating to the average student. I am a student that pays tuition like any other student, and I feel that if ASI is to claim that it represents the average student, then its ASI president needs to be a student that can relate to the average student. Thank you.
Ms. Farnese?
I think that I am the best president for candidate for, the best candidate for president for several reasons. First, myself and my slate don't make promises we can't keep. I can assure you that all of the goals that I'll talk about here today and all of the goals we've outlined on our website are things we know from experience we can accomplish. Furthermore, I know that I can do a good job because of the experience I have within the organization. And that said, I feel I can represent the average student because I'm currently an undergraduate and because I'm really involved on this campus and so have interactions with other students who are also involved and aware of the issues going on here today.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Farnese, you are a double major with a minor. Mr. Harrison, you are a double major. And Mr. Sanchez, you're a grad student. Now, how will you guys find time to balance your schoolwork and your ASI duties with such a heavy load? And we'll start this one off with Mr. Sanchez.
Well, I think that I have demonstrated my ability to handle stressful workloads. For the fall 2010, we had a pretty big ruckus going on at ASI. And yet, even though I was a full-time graduate student, I was still able to maintain a 4.0. And I feel that things are not going to change when it comes to the 2011-2012 academic year.
Ms. Farnese?
Currently, I have a 3.9 GPA, which I maintain while working at ASI and holding a secondary off-campus job, plus being involved in a lot of clubs and activities, including mock trial here, which is a huge time commitment here on campus. And so I believe I've already demonstrated that I can deal with the workload that being president would present, and I intend to continue to do so.
Mr. Harrison?
I know that I can handle the time constraint because I have excellent time management and organization skills. Last year I served as the regional director over the entire Central Valley for a U.S. Senate campaign that required more than 50 hours while I was going to school full-time with 18 units. So I know that I can handle the added workload.
Next question. The government of California is in billions of dollars of debt, and to combat that, the education budget for the state has been slashed, leading to tuition hikes. Mr. Sanchez, you were just at a protest today regarding such matters. If elected president, would you fight tuition increases? And if yes, how? If no, then why not? So we'll start this with Ms. Farnese.
Well, certainly fighting tuition increases is an important part of representing students. I personally signed a resolution against fee increases, which was written by Jaime Moncayo, who's running on the For Students Now slate with me. And so we've already taken steps to ensure that lobbying both the state and federal governments to keep the tuition cost low will be a part of what we intend to do.
Mr. Harrison?
With the experience I have with balancing budgets, I've actually already created a budget for the state of California that cuts $20 billion. The state is $15 billion in debt, or a $15 billion deficit, so it would end the deficit and give the state $5 billion to put back into education to help fight these tuition increases.
Mr. Sanchez?
As a small business owner myself and the current VP of Finance for Associated Students, I believe I know what it takes to bootstrap and to make sure that a org is using their resources to the maximum. I think that one way students can counter tuition fee increases is to organize more effectively through lobbying efforts by having face-to-face time with state legislators. And as ASI president, I will definitely make sure that ASI resources are used to have face-to-face time with ASI, with state legislators. Thank you.
All right, Manny, a reader from the Collegian Online, asks, with tuition increases and wasteful spending, do you personally, as ASI president, plan on taking a pay cut from your stipend? And why or why not? Mr. Harrison, we'll start with you.
I would be approved to take a pay cut. I only need about $500 a month to pay for all my bills, including rent and everything. So I would approve a pay cut to around $500 if that is what is necessary to cut the ASI budget.
Mr. Sanchez?
I am open to the idea of taking a pay cut, but I think that I would take it a step further and say that if my stipend was stopping in a essential ASI program that provides a large benefit to students, then I would actually take no pay.
Ms. Farnese?
I do not intend to take a pay cut. I believe that the work I do is worth being paid. I do a good job. I serve students. I work more than 20 hours a week, more than what is required for ASI. I'm the first one in and the last one out. And if elected, I intend to quit my second job so that I can focus completely on what this school and what the student government needs. So I do intend to do a good job and to be conscious of student dollars, but I don't intend to take a pay cut.
All right. Last semester, the Collegian reported that current ASI President Pedro Ramirez is an undocumented immigrant, and the story caused quite a stir around the Central Valley and the state and even nationally. How do you think Mr. Ramirez handled this situation, and what would you do if an ASI member in your administration was in the same situation? Ms. Farnese?
Well, I think that by not coming forward with the information and not letting his fellow executives be aware of the information, he did put ASI in a comparable position. That said, I think that every executive, every officer, every student leader should be judged by what they do, by what they accomplish, by how successful they are, by how in sync with the student need they are. And that's what I would judge both myself and my fellow executives on, no matter what issue arised in the upcoming year.
Mr. Harrison?
I think it was handled somewhat irresponsibly. I believe it cast a negative light on not only ASI but Fresno State as a whole. And if someone under my administration it were to come out that he or she were an undocumented immigrant, I would ask for them to resign.
Mr. Sanchez?
First off, I would just like to say that if you are going to hold a person accountable for something that occurred when they were 3 years old, then you're going to have to hold a 3-year-old accountable when they take a piece of candy from a candy store. I don't think that what happened to Pedro is something that you can prepare for. But if it were something that occurred during my administration, I would judge the person only based off of their work ethic and their productivity. I don't think that it is the role of the ASI president to be a immigration officer.
Reader Neil O'Brien submitted this question. The California State Student Association costs Fresno State students $17,500 to be a member of the organization. CSSA also used student money to fly Pedro Ramirez to Washington, D.C. last semester to lobby for the DREAM Act. Would you support a resolution withdrawing membership from CSSA, saving a student $17,500? If no, why not? And if yes, how would you utilize the money? Mr. Sanchez, we'll start with you.
I think CSSA, which stands for California State Student Association, I think it's a very important org to be a part of. I feel that if Fresno State were to, if Fresno State ASI were to withdraw from CSSA, then it would be performing a great disservice to its students. So I would be opposed to it. I think that CSSA not only tackles issues that affect AB 540 students, but they also tackle issues that affect all students, as was displayed today for the March in March event.
Ms. Farnese?
Well, ultimately, membership in CSSA is up to the Senate. The Senate, not the President, is the power-holding body of ASI. So I would consider being a member and not being a member based on what the Senate felt was going to be best for their budget and what they felt they wanted to accomplish in the upcoming school year. If they found that they didn't want to be a member of CSSA, there are certainly all kinds of programs currently happening at Fresno State that money could go to. The laptop rental program, the readership program, and club funding are just some examples.
Mr. Harrison?
I think that we would need to establish with the CSSA that Fresno State will not support, under my administration, any lobbying efforts for any policy other than funding to higher education. I think that needs to be the priority of all lobbying efforts for ASI, because that is one issue that all the students are on the same page of.
Now students from the audience will have the opportunity to ask questions. Students, you will have 30 seconds to ask a question. Please be as respectful as possible, and I reserve the right to stop a questioner if the question is disrespectful or off topic. So with that said, if you have a question to ask, you can line up at the microphone. So we'll start with Mr. O'Brien.
My name is Neil. I'm a recreation student. I don't know if this is on. My question is to the candidates. Which one of you guys are in, if you have any affiliation with MECHA? And if you do, I'd like to know what the word Aslan means in their idea of the liberation of Aslan. If you have any membership or affiliation with Aslan, I'd like to know what it is.
Okay. Ms. Farnese?
I'm not a member of MECHA. I don't have any affiliation with MECHA. That said, I believe the tagline refers to taking back what those individuals believe was theirs, meaning this country, this land, this state. I believe that is a correct interpretation of that, but again, I have no affiliation with them, and so I can't be certain about that.
Mr. Harris?
I have no affiliation with MECHA whatsoever, and am unable to define that term.
Mr. Sanchez?
I have been involved with MECHA, and the term Aslan means pretty much it is a way for Chicanos in the United States to identify with each other, and it's pretty much a term that refers to the Southwest United States.
Okay. Next to a question.
My name is Manny Moon, and I support equal rights and education rights for all students, no matter race, disability, everything. One of the groups that I've been talking to recently has been Students for Services with Disability, and they've traditionally not been involved in outside, They have traditionally not been involved in outside like activities, ASI activities, USU activities, and the reason for this being is a lot of these activities are not accessible to students with disabilities. As president, what have you done in the past to address this issue, and what do you plan on doing in the future? Thanks.
Mr. Harrison, start with you.
I would plan on getting some kind of contact information with every single one of those students, asking them what their concerns are, and then looking at all those concerns individually, determining what we can do through ASI to make those students or the university as accessible for those students as we possibly can.
Mr. Sanchez?
As for my past efforts that have addressed the issues for students with disabilities, I have none. However, in recent months, I have spoken to various students that have disabilities, and they have informed me of the current treatment that they are subjected to, including the fact that they have to pay a $300 fee just to register as a student with a disability. So as ASI president, I would work to see if that fee could be cut.
I took a social work class 2 semesters ago in which we were challenged to step into the shoes of someone with disabilities. And I spent an entire day on campus in a wheelchair. It was honestly the hardest day in my college career, so I can completely sympathize with people who use our Disability Center. That said, it represents over 2,500 students. 2,500 students are using those resources. So there's certainly a body of individuals that should be considered. And one place I think they should really be considered is the residence halls, which are not handicap accessible now. So I would work together with the Residence Housing Association to try to correct some of those issues. That's where I would start.
Thank you.
My name is Hector. I'm a student in the graduate program for social work. My question is, how do you pay for your tuition? And please tell me how, as a student who assumes to care, this is for all of you, what have you done now and what will you do to live up to the California Master Plan for higher education? And please explain the California Master Plan for higher education to us. Thank you.
Mr. Sanchez?
As I understand the California Master Plan, the California Master Plan was to provide affordable, quality, and accessible education for all students of California. I believe that my track record as the Vice President of Finance has shown what I have done to contribute to that plan. There have been multiple benefits that students have received from my efforts, and I think that my track record speaks for itself. Thank you.
Ms. Farnese?
Well, the plan for higher education actually includes city colleges, CSUs, and UCs. Now, the CSU part of that represents all the CSUs in the state and talks about providing local and affordable education to those schools and students who want to attend them. That said, it seems that adhering to that plan and trying to make the plan more successful would come back to financing. I am attending Fresno State on a SMIT Camp scholarship. My tuition is paid for, and I believe that increasing scholarship opportunities on campus and making information about receiving loans and things of that nature is one way to help make education more affordable for students in the Central Valley.
Mr. Harrison?
My parents pay for my tuition as best as they can, and then I pay for the rest through student loans and through working 30 hours a week at my part-time job. My plan for kind of living up to the master plan of higher education is by going to the state legislature with my budget that I've created and getting the support of whoever I need and going as long as I need to get the state legislature to look at my budget and strongly consider it.
Thank you, candidates. That is the conclusion of the question portion of the debate, and we will finish with the candidates' closing statements. Remember, candidates, you have 60 seconds, and Mr. Sanchez, you can go first.
As I have said multiple times, I feel that my track record speaks for itself. I feel that I am the most qualified candidate for ASI president because of my experience as a senator for the Sid Craig School of Business and also as the vice president of finance, and as well as my current status as a master's student through the business school. Unlike my opponents, I pay tuition out of pocket, and I also have experience. I have been to every single ASI Senate meeting this semester, and I cannot say the same for my opponents. Therefore, I hope that I have your vote on March 22nd to March 24th. Thank you.
Well, thank you for listening to the debate. I hope that you've learned something valuable and that you'll consider voting for me and my slate, For Students Now. We have a website, it's forstudentsnow.com, if you're interested in learning more about what we plan to accomplish, who we are, where we come from, and what our experience is. That said, I have also attended every ASI meeting this semester, last semester, and the year before that. So I have considerable experience and believe that that experience, along with fresh, new ideas, gives me and my slate the ability to make significant changes here at ASI and at Fresno State, and we don't make promises we can't keep. Thank you.
Mr. Harrison?
I'd like to thank all the students that came out. It's great that you care about your student body government. I just wanted to point out that I believe I'm the true voice of the students because I'm not in ASI. I don't have any intention of serving the ASI officials, but serving the students. And if you'd like to know more information about what I plan on doing as president, you can go to my website, danieljharrison.com. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. If you would like to vote for any of these candidates, the polls are open Tuesday, March 22nd, Wednesday, March 23rd, and Thursday, March 24th. On behalf of the candidates, the Collegian, our production crew, I'm Tony Petersen, and we thank you for watching the 2011 Associated Students Incorporated Presidential Debate.